You're all getting this wrong. I have to explain two important points, and I'm going to try to do this under 15 minutes. I probably can. You're getting what's wrong with feminist characters wrong. First, you have to understand why feminists make feminist characters, and it's directly tied to their ideology, which I have to partially explain. And then I have to explain to you why you're wrong when you're criticizing them. You're not getting the point. You're not getting what makes a hero. You're not understanding. Now, some of you get it, but a lot of you are way off in left field about what's wrong with feminist characters, and we're probably going to mostly use Ray because it's the classic video essay cliche of what a Mary Sue is. Okay, first, feminist ideology. The reason why feminists make bad female characters is because what a feminist female protagonist is a straw man. What it is what a feminist thinks a man is. Now, what a feminist thinks a man is, what the patriarchy is men who have everything, they have control of everything, they want for nothing, they probably didn't really work for what they had, they took advantage of a system or they cheated. And a feminist hates men for that. However, as much as a feminist hates their idea of a man, they envy it and they aspire to be it. They think that men don't just have anything for undue reasons. They think everybody loves men for undue reasons. They think everybody admires men for undue reasons. So when you get Ray, she has all the power and didn't work for it. And, even more importantly, everyone loves her. In fact, one of the main facets of what is a Mary Sue by definition that a lot of people who define Mary Sues forget to add is that in all your classic Mary Sue stories, everyone loves the hero, even the villains. At the end, not only does everyone love and admire Rey and consider her iconic, but Kylo Ren is in love with her, and she's actually Palpatine's granddaughter whom he wishes would come back and follow him. You know, accept your birthright and follow me. Even Palpatine loves her. That's why they suck. Because feminist icons are a straw man of men. They're not female at all. You've all seen Ripley, the real feminist icon, and not only is she not powerful, not only is she not stronger than men, not only is she not have all the resources that the men around her have, she doesn't own the Marine tanks in Aliens, the second movie. You know, she doesn't come in with a pulse rifle, she takes it. And she works for everything, and at the end, she's not rescuing the man, she's rescuing a child who she's formed a motherly-like bond with. The true greatest part of what makes women great is their compassion and love and care for children. It's perfect. It's a perfect movie. It's the opposite. And in fact, Captain Marvel's worse because not only is she the emblem of all this envy of this fake perception of the man who doesn't work and doesn't suffer, and everyone loves him and nobody hates him. Carol Danvers is also emblematic of that hatred, which is why she's vicious towards men and physically dominates them. Rey is less so, and which is why I consider her actually one of the least offensive feminist stereotypes, even though she's one of the most hated because of the franchise she ruined. But here's part two, which is what you're getting wrong. If you're an anti-feminist or anti-SJW, or of course you just don't subscribe to any of that bullshit and you understand that it's all male hatred, here's what you're getting wrong, what you don't understand about the hero's journey. The most common criticism, what is said every fucking time, is that she didn't train. She wasn't taught to do what she does, and that's wrong. You're wrong. Being trained is not important. In the great hero's journey, one of the tropes is the wise old sage, the Obi-Wan Kenobi of the original trilogy, for instance, or the Yoda, who imparts wisdom and helps define the hero's quest and crystallize it for him, teaches him some important things, gives him some moral lessons. That trope in the hero's journey is optional. Completely optional. It's not important. Training has nothing to do with it. It could have been perfectly fine for Rey to walk in with complete mastery over all the Force powers and still not fuck up the story. It doesn't matter if she was trained. It doesn't matter if she constructed her own lightsaber. None of that fucking shit is important. It's useful, but it's not necessary. Let me instead explain to you Clint Eastwood from A Fistful of Dollars. He walks in, the first thing he does in that movie is shoot the guns out of 6 men's hands with all the bolts of his revolver. Pow, 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 pow. Demonstrates his physical dominance. And yet he's in a situation facing overwhelming odds, 2 whole criminal gangs, and he decides the best way to overcome this situation is to turn those 2 gangs against each other. But even that eventually goes wrong, and in about 2/3 of the way through the movie, he gets the fucking shit kicked out of him. He gets disarmed, not taking his hand in this case, but taking away his guns. He gets beaten nearly to death, to the point where when he escapes, he can't walk. He crawls away and he hides in a hole and licks his wounds like a beaten dog. And then he comes back and outsmarts the villains and then kills them, even when he's not 100%. What was important is not that he was able to shoot the guns out of everybody's hands at first. It's definitely not important that we didn't spend time in that movie showing how he was taught to shoot that damn good. That's supernaturally good. It's not important. There is not a wise sage in Fistful of Dollars. So, you people might think that Yoda training Luke Skywalker in Dagobah was important. You're wrong. That is not important at all. What's important, instead of doing that, what's important is that Luke defied Yoda's orders or suggestions, went off to face Vader when he wasn't ready. He got shit thrown at him. He got beaten black and blue. He got thrown through a fucking window. He's bleeding, his eyes swollen shut. Tries one more time to face Vader, gets his fucking arm chopped off. And when he's there at the end of a cliff, clutching his severed fucking wrist, he says, "I'll never join you, Darth Vader." You know, because he wants to be a Jedi like his father before him. And Darth Vader is the example of everything evil that killed his father. And Darth Vader says, "No, I am your father. What you aspire to be is the most evil thing in the universe that has just beat the fucking shit out of you." So not only does he bleed and he loses his hand and he's disarmed and he's been stripped of all of his power. He's been told his entire life is a lie. And rather than face that fact, he throws himself down a shaft and commits suicide rather than face this horrible thing. And he survives, thank God, by the mercy of his friends and the will of the Force and all that shit. And comes back in the third movie, the completion of the trilogy, to correct that wrong. What's important is not that he did handstands in the fucking swamp. Motherfucker, that's not important. What's important is that Luke Skywalker is beaten to within an inch of his life and had his very convictions stomped on. His very will to face the reason why he's emotionally invested. Keep in mind, Rey's never been emotionally invested in the story. She's just like a bystander, like a passenger riding around in the seat of the car, just reacting to shit. She's not driving. Luke Skywalker was driving and hit a brick wall and nearly died. That's what's important. What's important is that a hero suffers. To use a quick example about what's wrong. Not a lot of you might not be fans of pro wrestling, but you've probably heard of Ric Flair, one of the most famous wrestlers to ever live. And he was a villain. And Ric Flair had money. He had power. Everyone admired him. Women loved him. He showed up to the arenas in fucking incredibly expensive suits, Rolex watch, out of a limo. He's a beautiful man. Powerful in every way. And he's the fucking villain. And who is the hero? Usually an underdog, a local boy, an underdog, not a man of means, not a man of wealth, who toils hard for everything he has. And he's usually in a 4 to 6 week arc facing Ric Flair. And what happens to that hero facing Ric Flair, the beautiful man who has everything? He gets his ass kicked for every fucking week. And then towards the end, as they're getting up to the pay-per-view, the hero starts to turn it around. He starts to learn his lessons. He starts to find all the way Ric Flair tries to kick him in the balls and avoid it. And learn all the ways Ric Flair tries to poke him in the eye and avoid it. And he starts to find out how not to get ambushed by Ric Flair's villains. And at the end, he faces Ric Flair alone in a steel cage where it's just mano-a-mano. And then he triumphs, like Luke Skywalker at the end of Return of the Jedi, facing Darth Vader alone. Even as a great big space battle is raging around him, it's still one-on-one, and he must face the man who broke him and overcome him. That's what the hero's journey is. It has nothing to do with training. It has nothing to do with earning shit by being taught by a wise old sage, or building your own lightsaber or something. Meaningless. I could very easily rewrite the story of Rey, where she starts off as the strongest Jedi to ever live and instinctually knows how to use all those powers without being told how to, or taught how to, or to have a fucking Jim Henson puppet impart wisdom to her. All I have to do is have Rey lose and have Rey be the one who was scarred and defeated and humiliated by Kylo Ren at the end of The Force Awakens. And I needed to have Rey suffer really hard and have to really struggle and probably have her, not Kylo Ren, be the one who cuts Snoke down at the end of The Last Jedi. And then who knows what the fuck I could have done with Return of the Jedi. Holy shit, what a disaster. But the point is, even Superman faces kryptonite. Even Superman has his righteous morals tested by intelligent villains who torment him to the point where he must face his own moral convictions to overcome. And even villains find ways to strip his power from him so that he is only his soul and his mind and his beliefs. And that he must show that even without godlike power, he will overcome because he is righteous and worthy. That's what the hero's journey is. Fuck training. Superman had all the powers from day one. He was a god from day one, and yet we still believed in him because he suffered and bled and faced death and faced evil, both outside of him and within him. And that's what a hero is. That's what men want, and that's what real women want. And you can stop here. That's the end of that point. But I have one more thing to say about feminism. That's not important. If you want to stop here, go ahead. But look at what feminism has done for women. It's given them all the privileges and all the positions and all the societal perception of what a woman should be that a man has. All the positions, all the potential, all the opportunity, and the perception of what a man is. We've given that all to women. And not only are women not oppressed by the patriarchy, women have every advantage in society. All the ones you know, like divorce rates, all the ones you know are winning in divorce court and almost always getting the kids. They don't get prosecuted anywhere at all near as severely as men for the same crimes. They're lauded by every entertainment industry and stuff as we're still doing the whole promoting women thing, which means we're ignoring men. Because if we promote men, that means we're having something negative to say about women by implicit. Just if you're promoting a man instead of a woman, you're not doing the right thing by the feminist ideology, of course. And what has that gotten women? Back in the old horrible black and white days where women were oppressed by being homemakers, who stayed at home and raised children and cleaned a house while a man went and worked hard and then came back and provided for the family, paid for that house, paid for the car, paid for the second car because the economy was way better back then, bought the woman everything she wanted. And all she had to do was raise the kids and keep the house and maybe manage the finances. Now, how many women might watch this who work their asses off 60-hour work weeks like a dog? They're not married. They don't have kids. They wish they were. They don't have time for it. They work hard as shit. And how many of them might dream of not having to work and being provided for? How many of them might think of that not as a horrible oppression, but as a fantasy that they wish they had? And then talk about the sexual liberation of women. First of all, one of the things that's least talked about that is a biological fact of the female supremacy of this race, most primates physically demonstrate when they are ready to mate. Baboons, their ass glows bright red. Now I'm ovulating, I'm ready to have children. Women have what's called a hidden ovulation. You do not know when a woman is ready to procreate. And the woman can have sex with whoever she wants and prevent those that she does not want to impregnate her from doing so. The woman selects which man she actually wants to bear children with. Only the woman knows when she is ovulating. The man does not. That means that women are the sexual selectors of the human species. In the sense of reproduction, we are a matriarchal species. And in fact, the mating desire that drives most of our instinct and drives the ambition of men and women beautifying themselves in all these ways that feminists don't like is to attract the best men have the most means, and the men seek to have the means to court those women. It's all female centric. So when we have a society that does all this shit for women, and then feminists want to not just have this perverted and disgusting idea of what a man is, they also hate the most attractive woman. She can't have big tits. She can't be gorgeous. She can't be flirty. Like Ray, like one of the strongest ways, it's not always the case, like again, your classic Ripley from Aliens, powerful woman, doesn't really get romantically involved with any men in her arc. Doesn't have to be, but one of the easiest ways to get a strong, powerful female character invested is her love for a man or the children that she has. That's really easy because that absolutely powerfully instinctually drives women in real life. Okay? You strip that out, it makes it even harder to relate to the woman. But they hate that woman that is driven by her love for her children and her desire to protect and raise them. They hate the woman that is the most sexually attractive, that leads to what the woman is most suited to be and it's not oppressive. Most women want children and love children. But if you're sexually emancipated and you're not having children in wedlock, you're just having them by accident because you can't manage your fucking birth control and you suck at life and you can't get a man to wear a condom because you're retarded, but you still have all these kids by different men and wonder why no one wants you. Nobody wants to marry you when you're 35 and you have 4 kids by like 2 different men. You're not attractive, and you're not physically trying to attract men either, and you wonder why no one loves you. I mean, it's just not the way we work, and it's not a bad thing to desire beautiful women, and putting a woman with huge tits and beautiful face out there is not just meant to attract men. That's what women want to see. Women want to see beautiful, empowered women who can date whoever they want, especially the most badass guy. You know, like in female-centric kind of Harlequin novel type shit, the man is either rich and powerful or is a wild man who fights against the system, but he's still super powerful and super handsome. And the woman in the story is beautiful and desirable to those most desirable of men. And the woman aspires to be the hot chick with big tits. And she wants the man like that. And that's what's most important. It's not, oh, it's not fair, we can't see big tits, but you can see Jason Momoa's muscles out there. That's not important. Jason Momoa's muscles is what the women want. And the women still can't bear to have a dumpy thing like, what's her name? The character that Kelly Tran played, that everyone hated from The Last Jedi, the little short Asian mechanic. She'll never be Ray. Ray is still at least somewhat kind of beautiful, but she's annoying. You know? Anyway, that's 20 minutes. But that is what's wrong with feminism. They have this perverted idea of what a man is, and they hate the ideal woman. They're just these destructive, loathsome, envious people. They hate and envy men, and they hate and envy beautiful women. And that's toxic, because they can't decide if they love them or hate them. But it's both. And that's what produces everything wrong with their entertainment media. So thanks for watching. And keep in mind, heroes must bleed. Heroes must be vulnerable to dying. For if it bleeds, we can kill it. If you don't suffer and you don't lose, you don't have an arc. And training has absolutely nothing to do with that. It's not, the problem with Ray isn't not that she doesn't train, it's that she doesn't suffer. Period. And I hope you grasp that. I hope you're still here. Average watch time for my videos is 8 minutes, and I don't think I hardly ever make an 8-minute video, and that's usually like a third of the time I spend, and that's your typical watch rate. But anyway, it's important to get to the end of these, guys, and I hope you like this video. I wanted to try to get this done in 15 minutes, but I did more or less 16 minutes, but I had to add this extra part because it's important politically. But as long as you stayed for the 16 minutes, that's most important.